Hello, Joelle Cellar Club members. Welcome to week 3 of the Joelle Cellar Club. Week 1, we found ourselves in Livermore Valley, California. Week 2, we were down in the Ag de Parle in South Africa. And here we are, week 3 in Italy. Italy is the highest producing wine region in the world. They have more than 500 grape varieties, of which probably about 175 of those are everyday wines. This definitely makes it the hardest country to master with continuing education with wine and studying wine. So I would suggest, if you are looking to sort of focus and learn more about Italian wine, I would break it down into regions. And there's 4 major regions within Italy. You have the southern region, where you're going to find Umbria and Puglia. Then you have the central region, where you're going to find your Tuscan wines. Then you have the northwest, Piemonte. And then here we are in the northeast in the Veneto. The Veneto, it's just off the Adriatic Sea. It's a cooler climate. However, they do have warm breezes that are coming off of the Adriatic Sea, so it makes it ideal for wine growing. And some of the world's best wines actually come out of the Veneto. More specifically, the eastern region of Valpolicella. I know a lot of you probably heard of Valpolicella. In Italy, it's funny because a lot of times the wines that we know and love, it's not the actual grapes that are the title of the wine. Everyone knows sort of Valpolicella, Ripasso, Amarone. So that is the actual region where the grapes are grown. However, that's not the actual grape. So one of my favorite little tidbits of knowledge that I love to share and sort of test my staff on is, and I would say the majority of people don't realize this, when people drink Chianti, I would say the majority of people think they're drinking the Chianti grape. However, Chianti is the region where the grape is grown, and the grape is actually Sangiovese. And then you see the Chianti Classico, and then Classico is actually a sub-region within Chianti that is known to make the best Chiantis in the world. So Italy can get very confusing, differing between whether it's you're drinking the wine from a region or you're actually drinking that grape. So that's a difficult part about learning about wines. So more specifically, it's in fair Verona where we lay our scene, the opening line to Romeo and Juliet, and that is why we're drinking the Romeo and Juliet wines here today. Specifically, this is the Pasqua Family Wines. It's a historic wine, produces high quality wines. It's one of the main players in the international wine trade, an Italian wine market. It's a family-run business. It's a main player, however, it's still a family-run business, and it's a third-generation winemaker owner right now. So let's get into a little bit of tasting. First off, you can see on the label, it's a cool label. It's got a lot of different messages on there. And so that's because in Verona, Italy, there's actually the Romeo and Juliet sort of villa, where Juliet's balcony. And so they get nearly 3,000 visitors a day, or used to get 3,000 visitors a day. And so on the label, under the wall, they tell the visitors to write messages of love. They can write all over the wall, and they want to invoke love and passion, and so people are allowed to write messages on this wall. And so the cool part about this wine that I always loved is, so depending on the vintage, the year the wine is made, they're taking a picture of the wall. So sort of the label is ever evolving depending on the vintage of the wine. It's a very cool story with that. So this wine, and again, back to the regions. So this is a Soave, Soave being the region within the Veneto. But the actual grape, it's 100% Garganega. And Garganega is a grape pretty much exclusively grown in Italy. I believe there's a little bit of production in Argentina, but other than that, Soave or Garganega is strictly from the Soave in Italy. So we're going to give it a little swirl, Gonna take a look at the color. This color, you would consider this, I would say, deep straw, sort of like a straw color. Let's give it the swirl. Let's get our nose in there. I'm thinking sort of tree fruit, peach, tangerine. It's got a beautiful nose. And then as far as the spice or the herbs, a little mint. I'm definitely getting a little mint there. When we were talking in the previous weeks, we were talking about wines, and most wines are meant to be consumed young. However, this is a wine that has a great structure. And this would definitely be a white wine you'd be able to age. It's nice. I'd say it's lean. It's a dry wine for sure. So out of this area, in the Veneto, you have Valpolicella, and then the Amarone grape and Valpolicella Ripasso. So the style in which they make the wines in this region, a lot of times they're actually letting the grapes dry a little bit and losing water content, and then increasing sugar, and then added flavors because there's less water involved. So you're getting a greater concentration of the fruit. It's got really good structure. So if you were to age this wine over time, you'd start to get a little bit more of like a toasted almond type flavor on it. But it's really an elegant, nice white wine. I think elegant would be the term I would use for both of these wines, and I think that's the term they would prefer to use as well. Really nice. So now we're going to move on to the Rosso. So the Rosso, you see, it's not too dark. Still a little bit lighter. A lot of times you'll find the wines out of the Veneto are going to be a touch lighter, depending on how long they're aged. So this is also a younger wine. This is a blend, 40% Merlot, 30% Corvina, and 30% Crotina. Again, with Valpolicella, Amarone, all coming out of this area. The grapes primarily used in those wines are the Corvina grape. So those are going to be a little bit of lighter in style, lighter in body, but then the Merlot is going to add a little bit of body to this wine. Let's give it a taste. It's got a great nose. Definitely red fruits, cherry, raspberry, with a little bit of like a spicy overtone. That's probably going to be a little bit from the oak. Yeah, this is a true expression of the Veneto. Sort of a little bit lighter in color, but yet lots of complexity. It's sort of really beautiful mouthfeel, sort of the velvety tannins. So this is the same as the white as well in how they produce those wines. So these grapes are left in crates in temperature-controlled, humidity-controlled rooms, and allowing them to sort of lose some of that water. So for these, they're probably losing about 30% of the water content on that. So it's gonna more sugar, and so sugar translates sometimes, and most of the time, to more alcohol. And so it's a 14% wine, so it's definitely got a little bit more alcohol. Typically, big reds, you're in that like 12.5 to 15.5, and this one comes in at 14. So these grapes are aged just in crates. So I keep bringing up Amarone and Ripasso, two of my absolute favorite wines. So the style with that is that they're taking those wines, they leave the grapes on almost like picture a screen door laying on its just laying flat, and that's called the lees. They're drying the grapes on the lees, and so when you're doing that, think of a raisin. A grape becomes a raisin. They're losing a lot of their water, and they still have all that sugar and everything in there, and then they actually, so ripasso means repass. So the wine is then repassed over the grapes, the skins, because that's what's going to give it the color, and that's why the Valpolicellas and Amarones, they're going to have, it's going to be a much darker wine than say this one. And that's because it's repassed through the skins, and the skins are what actually impart the color on the wine. So back to just the Pasqua and the Veneto. This is just such a great story. It's a story of love and passion, and that's what they really try and accomplish in these wines, and they really do. I think they're elegant. I think it's a great wine to have when you're having some people over, and to share with great friends. So cheers. Hope you enjoy.